Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good morning. Apa khabar semua? How are you?
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam, Prof.
Good morning, Prof.
Okay, I hope all of you are doing well and welcome back to the faculty. I don't know whether you are already at the campus or you are still at home, but nevertheless, we will start our ECV3011 class very soon. And just to highlight for today's plan, basically we will have a brief introduction on our class for 1 hour, and then we will have a special guest lecture by our adjunct professor. Later on, T.S. Ricky will be conducting or giving out a special lecture on engineering profession. So meanwhile, while waiting for the rest to come in, I just want to set a simple rule for our class session. As all of you know that we are going to have a 2+1 course. This is ECV3011 Engineers and Society. So it is a 3-credit course, 2+1, meaning that we are going to have our normal 2-hour lecture plus 1 hour project or activity. 1 hour project activity, basically it consists of roughly about 2 to 3 hours activity on your own, meaning that we are going to provide you a task or a group project, and you will be doing some activity with the community or society. Okay, so probably we can start the class now. We have roughly about 38 students. I've been told that there are 50 students registered with this particular course, and make sure that your name is already registered in this particular group. And for your information, this ECB3011 course is being offered by several programs, not just aerospace. We have civil program, we have probably mechanical, we also have other groups available. So for those who are not need to register in my group, probably you need to register yourself in the other groups. This is a common course. It doesn't matter whether you are in the aerospace group or in the civil group, it is still the same content. However, we are going to do our very best to tailor this particular section or the group for today into the aerospace industry, how aerospace engineers will interact with the society. Okay, so let us try to share the session. Okay, I hope everybody can see the slides now, right? Probably most of you have already gone through the lecture with me in last year, right? And we did the propulsion course, all right? And for this particular semester, I will be teaching this particular subject, Engineers and Society. Right. When we talk about Engineers and Society, probably you already observed that the word or the term engineers, right? Meaning that that's what you are going to be. Probably most of you are going to become, in the near future, you're going to become an engineer. And at the same time, engineers are not just working on their own. They are also working with other colleagues, the engineering team, right? Who are the engineering team? They may be engineering technologists. There are probably engineering technicians, assistant engineer. There are also other allied professionals that you are going to work with. At the same time, there are responsibilities of engineers towards the Society. Okay, so we are going to look into what is being covered in this particular course. For the next 14 weeks, we will try to open up or to discover the role of engineers in the society. In terms of the content for today, I'm going to explain the course synopsis, and then later on explain the most important aspect of the course, which is the course learning outcomes. Right, this is quite familiar. I hope you already get used to it, where each particular course will have its dedicated course learning outcomes. And at the same time, I will just briefly discuss about what are the course contents for this particular subject, and I'll touch a little bit on the brief overview on the activities. Since this particular subject is a 2+1, meaning that you're going to have a 2-hour lecture or 2-hour discussion and 1 hour, 1 credit hour activities. And 1 credit hours activities doesn't mean just 1 hour. It is 2 to 3 hours of activities. Similarly to the lab activities. And then I'll show you some references that we are going to use throughout this particular course. And we also going to go through in general in terms of what kind of assessments that I'm going to assess you in this particular course, and how many assignment that we are going to go through, how many tests, and what are the weightage for the project, at the same time the coverage for the final exam. And finally, before we end our session on the introduction, we will look into the key documents. What are the key documents that we are going to refer to, especially on the regulatory aspect, as well as the rules and regulation with regards to engineers. And then I will introduce you key professional body and society that are available in Malaysia, at the same time, which are related to aerospace fraternity in the world. Okay, let us continue. Right, in terms of the course synopsis, right, as we all know that every course has a summary. This is just to tell you about what is the course all about, and this particular course covers the engineer's profession. Right, what is an engineer, who is an engineer, and how to become an engineer. At the same time, we will look into the ethics of an engineer, right, and then the responsibility of an engineer, especially in relation to environmental, socio-economic, sustainability, safety, as well as health issues, legal system, contract law, management, and a little bit of entrepreneurship. So this course also involves application of engineering knowledge through joint activities with the community. So that's the last part, is what we call as the immersion of the engineers into the society. Because engineers, we are building things, we are maintaining things for the public, the public safety. So we will look into what are the application of the engineering knowledge that you're going to foster through this particular course, and also apply your engineering knowledge to the benefits of the society. So that is the course synopsis of ECV3011. Next, we will look into the course learning outcomes. So this particular course, we have dedicated 3 course learning outcomes. So normally you have 3, 4, or sometimes 4 course learning outcomes. And what are these learning outcomes? Basically, the items or the knowledge that you are going to be able to do. So, and for this particular course, you should be able to correlate the current issue of environment, right, as well as socio-economic and sustainability with sound engineering practice, right? So, you would be able to link the the issues related to environments, socio-economics, and sustainability with sound engineering practice. And the C5 means that you are going to be able to at least analyze and try to not just explaining, you are going to make conclusion about or giving solution to the problems that are being faced in the engineering problems. At the same time, the second course linear outcome, you should be able to explain the ethical duties, since we are going to explain to you about the ethics of an engineer, right? So you would be able to explain the ethical duties, the code of conducts and responsibilities of engineers in society in terms of the legal aspect. So how can the public complain against engineer? What are the things that need to be done if you have troubles with engineering works, okay? And how to deal with it as an engineer, right? What are your rights, okay? And then in terms of the management aspect, right? And at the same time, a little bit on the entrepreneurship aspects. So we will look into affective domain at level 3. We also cover the entrepreneurship and management and the ethics. At the same time, for the third course learning outcome, you should be able to apply your skills and engineering knowledge to carry out activities with the community. This is the psychomotor part. We put it as P4, meaning that you should be able to just apply what are being taught in the class for the past 3 years, right? It's not just the third year. Since the beginning of the program, from year 1, year 2 until year 3 now, you then come up with a programs or projects with the community, right? So we will explain and look into more detail on what kind of projects that you should be able to engage with the society, right? So that are the 3 course learning outcome that you should be able to grasp in this particular course. Okay, I would like to show this in terms of the course outcome and program outcome mapping, right? Because at the end of the day, once you already achieve the 3 course outcome, what are the remaining or the relevant program outcomes? So probably some of you have already gone through certain program outcomes since year 1, year 2, and now year 3, your second semester. There are 14 program outcomes that being addressed, that being designed for this particular program, the aerospace engineering program. And out of the 14, the department or the program designer have already picked 6 program outcomes that are relevant, that can be addressed through the 3 course outcomes. So the first one is, of course, the knowledge, where students able to apply knowledge of mathematics, science, engineering fundamentals, as well as engineering specialization. In this particular case, it is aerospace engineering, to the solution of complex engineering problems. And we map then the PO1, the program outcome 1, to course outcome number 1. What does it mean is that when the student or you be able to obtain or achieve course outcome 1, meaning that the program outcome 1 has already been achieved. That's what we call it as the mapping. So meanwhile, for the second program outcome, we have already been addressed, being allocated. We have been allocated PO6. What is PO6? Basically, this is the application where you are going to do the project. Create, select, and apply appropriate techniques, resources, and modern engineering, as well as IT tools, including predicting and modeling to complex engineering activities with an understanding of the limitation. So it's quite mouthful. There's so many things. But the gist of it is basically you're going to be able to design things, try to create solution for using modern techniques. This is what you're going to do in your activities, the +1 activity, the project in groups, and it will be addressing CO number 3. Okay, so then we move into PO number 8. PO 8 is basically to understand the impact of professional engineering solutions in societal, environmental context, and demonstrate knowledge and the need for sustainable development. So the keyword there is about societal and environmental context. At the same time, the keywords on sustainable development. So whatever you are doing as an engineer, you are doing design, you are doing problem solving, you must take care of the impact towards the society itself, and then the environmental impact, okay, whether it's going to do pollution, it's going to have noise and so on, and we also will look into the sustainable development, and that will address cost outcome number 1. The rest of the program outcome, PO9, PO12 and PO13 will be addressing cost outcome number 2. So it is about, PO9 is about applying ethical principles and commit to professional ethics, okay, and responsibilities and norms of the engineering practice. And meanwhile, PO12 is demonstrate knowledge and understanding of engineering as well as management principles, and apply these to one's own work to manage project and in multidisciplinary environment. So the PO12 will be addressed through your project. At the same time, we will also assess it in the test and final exam. So at the same time, PO13, the last program outcome, is about identifying basic and opportunities in entrepreneurship related to engineering. Okay, so that is about the COPO mapping. You do not need to worry about the program outcomes. What you need to focus on are the cost outcome. Cost outcome number 1, cost outcome number 2, and cost outcome number 3. Alright, that will be assessed in your assignment, project, your test, and final exam. Right? Okay. Basically, there are 10 main topics in this particular course, and the course contents are being divided into 10, even though we have 14 weeks of lecture, but I will try to finish up in terms of the lecture series in 10 weeks, and we will focus on the project for the remaining 4 weeks, right? So as you can see here, right, it reads from left to right, and then we will continue on the second row over here. So the first topic is about engineering profession that we will cover in our special lecture right afterwards. So I'm not going to explain further about it. Later on, my colleague Professor Ricky will explain about what is the content for engineering profession. And then hopefully next week we will touch on morals, ethics and responsibility as an engineer, right? So I hope all of you have already geared yourself to become an engineer, and this is your 3rd year, so you have another 1.5 years to complete your journey for the entrance or to become an engineer, and later probably you will become a professional engineer as well. And then we will look into socio-economic issues. What is it all about? Is it about finance? Is it about economy? Is it about business and so on related to engineering fraternity? And then we will look into environmental issues related to the aspect on regulatory aspect of law and so on. That is we are going to cover in the 4th topic. And of course, engineers and management. Okay, at the same time, some of you say that I'm going to become an engineer for the rest of my life. So that probably true for some cases, but for most cases, you will become junior engineer and then a senior engineer. Later on, you are going to move up the management ladders. You become supervisors, you become managers, maybe senior managers, and maybe one day you will operate your own company. So you try to open up your mind is that, oh, I'm not just going to become an engineer. That's why you need to learn about the role of engineer in management, okay, decision making, right? And then we will look into management functions. Of course, we are not going to run away from safety and health. What are the legal system available in Malaysia, right? The aspect of legal system especially for the engineers, and then the contract law. So because you are going to deal with business, you are going to deal with contract. So there are issues that we are going to touch upon. What can be done? What happened if there are something gone wrong? And lastly, we will also touch on the basic entrepreneurship in engineering. So in a nutshell, these are the 10 topics that we are going to cover throughout this particular course. And on top of that, you are going to conduct a project with the community or society. All right. If you have any question, we can open up Q&A session at the end of this particular session. Right. Now we look into the course activities, right? So it depends on the batches. So since we have 50 students registered in this particular course, most likely I'm going to divide the class into 10 groups. So not more than 5 students in a group because it is according to the accreditation council, the engineering accreditation council. Each group activity should be not more than 5 people. So since we have 10, I will list down, since we have 50 students, we will have roughly about 10 groups. It depends on I hope that because the quota is 50, so definitely we have 10 groups that consist of 5 students in a group. I will list down the group members, the group, and then you yourself try to pick the group leader and then organize yourself to perform the activity. What are the activities for this particular course? So the practical activities in the course will include activities with the community. I understand that it's quite challenging and difficult to conduct activities, hands-on activities, face-to-face activities, especially we are still in the movement control order, even though it's getting better now. So, but we will try to devise ourselves in terms of how to engage with the community. Probably we hopefully because this is still week 1, and by the end of the after week 7, when we would like to conduct our activities, the movement control order has already been lifted, or we will try to look into it later on. So in the case the movement control order is continue, so we will try to devise an activity where you engage the community through online platform. If not, you are going to do the activity face to face and physically. So meaning that you are going to go there. For example, you're going to go to any village or school or government sector or industry even, because those are the society, the community that you are going to try to solve the problem and try to give up, share your whatever knowledge that you already gained in the program. Okay, and of course, in this activity, each group will be divided, and you are going to organize. At the same time, you are going to be responsible for planning. So you have to plan what is the activity, identifying what community that you're going to engage, you are going to propose, you are going to coordinate and implement community work, right? It can be any community work, but it's not like a social work. It's not like you go and paint the building or just clean up the backyard, or this is about problem solving. Maybe you try to fix something that is in the the Putrajaya wetland. Okay, you want to fix, you want to propose engineering solution. What you need to do first, basically, you have to organize yourself and contact the respective wetland authority. Who are the wetland authority? Is basically the Putrajaya, Pembadanan Putrajaya. So you have to contact Pembadanan Putrajaya, identify who is the person in charge, and then ask them about the problem over there, and you yourself in team organize, and then you go there and try to provide community services. So bullet number 4 there, mentioning about you are encouraged to seek external sponsorship to contribute. Of course, there are no allocation specifically to provide monetary assistance for the activities. Okay, it can be just proposing a white paper, you propose some solution to the community, but you're not building something. So you are not asked to build something. But if you can find sponsors, right, probably from your parents, from any companies that willing to sponsor your community project, feel free to do that, and I will support it. So at the same time, at the end of the activity, you are going to produce a final report and present the project outcome orally. So there will be presentation. At the same time, there will be report writing. Okay, so I will explain in more detail when the times come for the course activities, right? Okay, in terms of the references, of course, as you can see here, these are the references that I took from the course syllabus. There are standard handbook or references related to the Engineers and Society. At the same time, there are also online books for those who are having access to. If you find any Engineers and Society in online, you may share with the group, the WhatsApp group that we have already created. So these are just the list, and I can say that the one that number 4, the book by Engineer Salahuddin and Engineer Razali, both of them are from the civil department. Both of them unfortunately are already retired. Okay, and it's about pengurusan dalam kerjaya kejuruteraan. It's about management in the engineering career. So published by Universiti Putra Malaysia. So you can, I don't know whether you can get it from the bookstore, but it is definitely available in the university library, the faculty library. And of course, as I said, from time to time I will provide my own lecture notes. You would be able to view the recording of this particular session. Right. Now we come into the course assessment, and just to note that the recent announcement or circular by the university management saying that the assessment, especially for the final exam, will be conducted face-to-face. Alright, so other than that, the assignment, test 1, test 2 group activities, and so on, can be conducted offline or online. It can be conducted online, but the final exam must be conducted face-to-face. So it's going to happen in week 15, 16, and 17 later on. Just to highlight here, how the marks going to be divided. Of course, you are going to have assignment or coursework or probably quizzes throughout this particular course. And later when Professor Ricky giving his lecture, there will be activity there. There will be exercise given out by Professor Ricky. So that will be also counted throughout this particular coursework. And then you are going to have two set of tests, test 1 and test 2. Each one of them will carry 10%, and then your group activities or group project will consist of 30%. That will include the project report, at the same time the project presentation. And then of course the final exam that covers the theoretical part of this particular course. Alright? Okay, the next item is about the key documents. Why the key documents, apart from the references, are important. I can say that it is much more important than the references that I highlighted just now. The key document that we would like to see are the reference, the main document that we are going to refer to. Whether you are going to do your projects, whether you are going to do your coursework, and as well as assignment. So the first one is the Ministry of Science, Innovation and Technology framework on what we call it as the Science, Technology, Innovation and Engineering framework, called MySTIE. It has a 10 by 10 metric. I will provide the document in Putra Blast later on, when we would like to use it. So you will find out the Ministry of Science agency called Academy Science Malaysia, that responsible to design or come out with this framework. They prepared a 10 by 10 matrix. So later on we will look into how those what we call it as areas, 10 by 10 areas, as well as criteria, suits into the how engineers, when you become an engineer, how your engineering profession can fit into the 10 by 10 matrix of MySTIE. Alright, so this is quite new. It is being launched in year 2020, and this is last year. So the document is still relevant for engineers profession. And then we have the circular by the Board of Engineers Malaysia. So this is the code of conduct of registered person. When we say registered person, it's not meant just for the engineers. So as I highlighted earlier, the engineers work with engineering teams. There are allied professionals, there are engineering technicians, there are engineering technologists, there are assistant engineer, and so on and so forth. We are also working with architects, we are working with surveyors, we are working with geologists, and so many other professions. So Board of Engineers Malaysia, under the Act, the Registration of Engineers Act, come out with a circular about the code of conduct. What can be done, what cannot be done by an engineer. So you can easily download this particular document in the Board of Engineers website. Make yourself familiar with the website of Board of Engineers. There are so many information over there. It tells you about the career path for graduate engineer and how to become a professional engineer, and at later stage you become a professional engineer with practicing certificate. Okay, so the next document that I would like you to refer to is on the Sustainable Development Goals by the United Nations. So there are exactly 17 sustainable goals that being highlighted or being focused by the United Nations. So it's not just for Malaysia, it's for the world. It is under United Nations. So they highlighted about poverty, about clean water, education, and so many other things over there. And when you want to do your project, you must refer to these sustainable development goals and try to find which are the suitable sustainable development goals related to your activity, to your project. Right? You need to be able to justify why you choose, for example, like clean water. Clean water is I can't remember which one sustainable goals. So you have to explain why you choose this and how your project is related to these United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Okay, right. Those are the three main documents, the key documents I can say. The 10 by 10 My STIE by Academy Science Malaysia under the Ministry of Science, Technology and Innovation, and then we have a circular on Code of Conduct of Registered Person by the Board of Engineers Malaysia, and the Sustainable Development Goals, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals by the United Nations. Alright, so let's move on into the last slide, the key professional body and society. Okay, and I just want to highlight here the logos of the professional body. The main body related to engineers in Malaysia is the Board of Engineers. And this is the logo of Lembaga Jurutera Malaysia, the Board of Engineers Malaysia. It is compulsory for any person who are involved with engineering activity that they must be registered with the Board of Engineers Malaysia. It is, whether you are a technician, whether you are engineering technologists, whether you are engineers, whether you are teachers in engineering, lecturers, like me, you have to be registered with the Board of Engineers Malaysia. If you do not register, what happened? What happened if you do not register with the Board of Engineers Malaysia and you practice engineering? So it means that you are doing illegal things. You can be caught. There is an act behind it. You're going to be given a compound. Okay, you have to pay a fees of 50,000 ringgit. This is quite serious. It's, even the movement control order, if you break the SOP, you going to be fined 10,000 ringgit. But if you are doing engineering work, you at the same time you do not register with the Board of Engineers, or your company not registered with the Board of Engineers Malaysia, you and your company can be sued a maximum of 50,000 ringgit. It is quite a lot. So there is one. Okay. Later in our courses, our topics, we will explain in more detail the role of Board of Engineers Malaysia. It is the regulatory body for engineers in Malaysia. Right? And then we have this Malaysian Board of Technologies, Lembaga Technologies Malaysia, where they register the technologies. Okay, as long as the technologies not related to engineering, it is being registered under the Board of Technology Malaysia. And for the M Board, the registration with the Board of Technologies Malaysia is voluntary. There is even in the Act of M Board, it is not compulsory to register with the Board of Technologies. Okay, so but for Board of Engineer, it is compulsory. It's under the Act. But registration under Malaysian Board of Technologies is voluntary. So you can register yourself as a graduate technologist. You can register yourself as a professional technologist under the Malaysian Board of Technologies. I myself and Professor Ricky also, both of us are registered professional technologists with the Malaysian Board of Technologies Malaysia. This is a voluntary registration. And then, of course, we have the society. right? Don't get confused about the regulatory body. These are the two regulatory body in Malaysia: Malaysian Board of Engineers and Malaysian Board of Technologies. And then we have the Malaysian Society for Engineering and Technologies, called MySET, right? It is a society created or formed in year 2008, that allows registration for engineers, registration for engineering technologies, registration for engineering technician, as well as technicians, okay, and allied professionals. So the society for MySET, it covers the engineering team. And meanwhile, the Institution of Engineers Malaysia, IEM, only register engineers. They don't register the engineering team. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, they are, because the name is Engineering Institution of Engineers, just taking care the engineers. So these are society. The registration for the society are voluntary. Some engineers, when they already work in the industry, they said that, oh, I already registered with the regulatory body. They say that IEM is a regulatory body. That IEM is not a regulatory body. They are just a society. Okay, and MySET also a society, and both of them, MySET and IEM, both of them serve Malaysian, the Board of Engineers Malaysia to conduct the professional assessment examination, right? Okay, let's move on into the society that are related to aerospace. Okay, maybe some of you already heard about Persatuan Aero Angkasa Malaysia, or Aerospace Society of Malaysia. Okay, the president of Persatuan Aero Angkasa Malaysia now is Associate Professor Dr. Azmin Shakrin, if I'm not mistaken, since the last AGM. The previous president is Associate Professor Dr. Fairuz Izzuddin Romli, that served for 3 years, and now we have a new president. So this is another society where it is not compulsory, it is voluntary, but I highly encourage you to join, because this is the society for aerospace. So this is where you can contribute. When you join a society, it's not about what the society can give to you, it's basically what you can contribute to the society. Right? So this is what we call as the engineers and society. You must engage yourself with the professional society. At the same time, in Southeast Asia, okay, we move into Southeast Asia now. We have a platform called Southeast Asia Network on Aerospace Engineering. Okay, so just to inform you, I myself is the Secretary General for SANAE, okay, Southeast Asia Network on Aerospace Engineering. So we have our, even though it is called Southeast Asia, right, we have a member country from Thailand, we have members from Vietnam, we have members from of course Indonesia, we have members from India, we have members from Taiwan, and the members are growing. Okay, the current president is from Taiwan, Professor Professor Chin from Taiwan, and I'm the Secretary General for SANAE. And every year we organize activity within the Southeast Asia region, like a conference and so on. And we also have exchange of student activities. But since last year we cannot do anything, probably you didn't hear about the activities for SANAE, right? And currently there is no individual membership, only we open to institutional membership. So University Putra Malaysia is a member of SANAE, University Technology Malaysia, at the same time University International Islamic University Malaysia and University Science Malaysia are member of SANAE, apart from colleagues from other countries, right? And at the same time, we have international platform or society, Royal Aeronautical Society, based in the UK, and we have AIAA based in the US, American Institute for Aeronautics and Astronautics, and at the same time, American Society for Mechanical Engineer. There is a specific division for aerospace under ASME. So what we can see here is that in this particular course, you are going to be exposed on the regulatory body, you are going to be exposed into professional engineering society in general, and then you also have a specific aerospace society for Malaysia, Southeast Asia, and then the international platform maybe in the UK, in the US, and other countries. So I just show these particular logos because I'm associated with it, and it is by engaging with this society, you will get more network. Engineers going to do networking and make more friends. By making more friends, you get probably job opportunities. You get other projects throughout the activities of networking. Okay, so that's all for the briefing on the course.